Welcome to another story made by Oracle One. The old Hawthorne house had stood at the edge of Maplewood Avenue for generations, an ancient relic haunted by the echoes of the past. Its faded white paint peeled in long strips down rotting wooden walls. The slate roof sagged unevenly like a tired old man's eyelids barely clinging to awareness. Vines coiled their sinewy fingers across the cracked mullions of the attic window, obscuring the view inside when daylight spilled through. No one had lived in the attic since old Mrs. Hawthorne died more than 20 years ago, and for 20 years untouched rooms lay swathed in dust and shadow. Yet, every single night, without fail, a silhouette appeared in that attic window. A vague human shape, impossibly still, allowing the moonlight to scribe a stark black figure against the glass. Nobody on Maplewood Avenue dared speak about it. Inexplicable things were best ignored in this small town where secrets festered like wounds. But to Claire Bannister, who had just inherited the Hawthorne house from her estranged grandmother, the nightly apparition was a call to unravel the mystery buried in the attic. She had arrived on a chilly September evening, the air sharp with early autumn's breath, and immediately felt the house's oppressive history pressing down like lead. Claire was a writer of dark stories, drawn to places where the edges between reality and nightmare blurred. She had no intention of letting superstition drive her away, though the neighbors' whispered warnings planted a seed of dread in her mind. It was nightfall, and as she unpacked boxes filled with old books and fragile trinkets, her eyes kept flickering toward the attic window. There it was again, a silhouette molded out of shadows, unmoving, watching. Determined to confront whatever haunted her grandmother's legacy, Claire ascended the narrow wooden stairs to the attic door. The banister throbbed under her trembling fingers. The door squealed in protest when she pushed it open, revealing a cavernous space wrapped in darkness. The attic smelled of mothballs, mildew, and forgotten memories. She took her flashlight from her jacket pocket and flicked it on, letting the beam pierce through the gloom. Boxes stacked haphazardly, sheets billowy from old drafts, and long-abandoned furniture appeared against cobwebbed corners. No one was here. No footprints or signs of living presence. Yet somehow the silhouette remained in the window outside, a shadow bafflingly human but curiously still as stone. Claire's gut tightened as she swept the flashlight back to the window. Was it some trick of the light, or something else? The shape looked like a man, tall and broad-shouldered, shown in strict profile facing outward as if locked in eternal vigil. The hairline was sharp, the stance rigid. A ghost, perhaps, left behind from decades past? As she descended back into the dim parlor, a sudden cold draft washed over her neck, making her shiver. The house groaned like a living thing settling into its old bones. She was not alone. The next morning, Claire ventured into the town library, its ancient oak stacks towering with yellowed newspapers and fragile records. If there was a story to be found, this was where it would surface. The local historian, an aging man named Mr. Greeley, greeted her with wary eyes but a ready smile. "Looking for ghosts, Miss Bannister? You've come to the right haunted house." Claire laughed despite herself. More like trying to understand why a silhouette keeps appearing at night in the attic window of my grandmother's house. No one's lived upstairs in decades. Mr. Greeley nodded, digging beneath the counter for a dusty file folder. The Hawthorne place has long been the subject of strange tales. Your grandmother was, well, she was an intriguing woman. Here, he slid a brittle newspaper clipping across the table. Claire took it carefully. The headline read, "Disappearance at Hawthorne Manor, Young Man Missing, 1932. The article described how a man named Samuel Hawthorne, the last heir of the family estate, disappeared without a trace one summer night over 80 years ago. The family search turned up no clues, The local police declared the case cold after weeks with no leads. Some whispered he had vanished into thin air, consumed by some dark curse. Samuel Hawthorne, Claire whispered. Do you think the silhouette could be him? Some say he never left, said Greeley, his eyes gleaming with a strange light. Not really. They say that if you stare long enough at that attic window, you can see him standing there every night, waiting for something, or someone. Claire's curiosity now possessed her entirely. That night, armed with a portable recorder and fresh resolve, she returned to the house. The street was deserted, the flicker of a single street lamp casting long shadows across cracked sidewalks. The air grew colder as she reached the gate and pushed it open with an eerie creak. She sat on the cracked stone porch, eyes fixed on the attic window. The silhouette came into view again, like clockwork, a black smudge against silver glass. Claire pressed record, hoping to catch more than a shape, perhaps whispered words, or the subtle sounds of movement. But the night was still except for the rustling of leaves stirred by an unseen breeze. Suddenly, the attic window flickered with a stark pulse of light, as if an old projector had switched on somewhere inside. The silhouette moved, for the merest second, with the grace of a living man turning his head. Claire's heart slammed in her chest as she scrambled to her feet and brushed her hand furiously over her recorder. Samuel? She whispered into the cold wind. Are you trapped here? A sudden noise cut through the silence. A soft tapping from the second floor, footsteps that gradually ascended toward the attic. Claire's breath caught. No one was supposed to be upstairs. The footsteps stopped abruptly. A voice, ghostly, breathy, came from above. Help me. Her pulse throbbed fiercely. She reached the stairs, so narrow and crumbling she expected them to collapse beneath her weight. She climbed, pausing as the feeling of unseen eyes prickled her skin. The attic door was closed, yet faint light escaped from beneath it, flickering and shifting like candle flames. Pushing the door slowly, she was greeted by the sight of the attic fully illuminated in an ethereal blue glow. The walls shimmered with spectral paintings and photographs suspended midair. An old trunk lay open in the center, and inside, amid letters dusty and yellowed, was a locket engraved with the initials SH. Claire reached to pick it up, the moment electric with tension. Suddenly the blue light coalesced into a figure, tall, thin, and transparent, standing where the silhouette had been moments before. It was a man, his eyes haunting and sorrowful, dressed in clothes from another century. My name is Samuel Hawthorne, the ghost whispered, voice like a breeze through dead leaves. I was betrayed by those I trusted, hidden here to be forgotten. Betrayed? Claire asked breathlessly. What happened to you? He gestured toward the walls, where ghostly images flickered, a younger Samuel arguing heatedly with a man in a dark suit, shaking a letter in his fist. Those images told stories of greed and jealousy, of a conspiracy that ended with Samuel locked away and ultimately vanished. I was imprisoned here by my own kin, accused falsely of crimes to seize my inheritance. No one outside these walls knew my fate, he said. Every night I appear, hoping someone will listen, will uncover the truth and free me from this eternal torment. Claire's eyes filled with tears. I'll help you, Samuel. I promise. For nights afterward, she pored over old records and whispered to the shadows in the attic, piecing together a narrative that spanned decades and deceit. The old will had been tampered with, letters threatening Samuel's good name forged by jealous cousins eager to claim the estate. The Hawthorne family's dark secret was sewn tightly into time. One evening, Claire's investigation took a deadly turn. As she unlocked a rusted chest in the cellar, footprints appeared behind her. A cold hand grabbed her shoulder, and a low voice hissed, "Stop digging, or suffer." She spun around to find Matthew Crane, the current owner of the rival estate and a man with a sinister reputation. "You have no idea what you're meddling with," he snarled. Claire, undeterred, pulled free, holding up a set of old documents proving Samuel's innocence and exposing Matthew's family's role in the conspiracy. "This ends now," she declared fiercely. Matthew's eyes blazed with fury, but she was backed into a corner by law and justice. Authorities soon arrived, and the truth emerged from the shadows like dawn breaking after a long dark night. With Samuel's name cleared, Claire returned to the Hawthorne house one final time. The silhouette was gone. The attic window reflected only moonlight now, serene and empty. She placed the locket softly on the windowsill, a gesture of farewell. As she stood bathed in the cool glow of early morning, the house seemed to exhale, release a tension it had carried for nearly a century. The shadow trapped in the glass was finally free. Claire smiled faintly, knowing some stories demanded to be heard, no matter how long they waited. She stepped back into the dawn, leaving behind a house no longer haunted, but peacefully quiet, its secrets laid to rest. For more stories, like and subscribe.